Hey, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna talk about top 5
best CPU for gaming.
Starting at number 5.
Intel Core i9. The Intel Core i9-12900K delivers on the chipset's flagship status with some of the fastest single-core performance on the market, even beating that of AMD's Ryzen 9 5950X in many instances, according to our colleagues at Tom's Hardware. For those in the know, that's the last-gen AM4 Ryzen chipset and a CPU that will cost you significantly more than the i9-12900K's still hefty $589. What that means in practical terms is that the Intel Core i9-12900K is not only one of the best CPUs for gaming but also one of the most affordable i9 processors that's compatible with the current gen chipset. You'll need a DDR5 compliant motherboard like the Z690 for native PCIe 5.0 and DDR5 support, which could be a double-edged sword. This could mean upgrading your motherboard, but at the same time, you'll be future-proofing yourself for the next while. If you've got the money for upgrading but don't want to splash out on 13th or 14th gen flagships, the 12th gen option might be the one for you.
Coming at number 4.
Intel Core i5. The 12th generation Intel i5 Alder Lake processor does what people were expecting from Rocket Lake and actually dethrones AMD Ryzen 5000 series for a competitive price-to-performance ratio that's hard to argue against. Comparing the Intel Core i5-12600K with the less than well-received Intel Core i9-11900K, the 12600K actually outperforms it for a fraction of the cost. Indeed, its documented performance means it more than deserves a high spot in our roundup but misses out on that top slot for one simple reason: the 13600K is unreal. Regardless, one of our editors has this as their CPU of choice, and it's handled gaming and benchmarking with an RTX 4090 with absolute ease. If you like the look and feel of the 13600K but don't want to splash out as much dough, this isn't too far behind.
At number 3.
Intel Core i7. Before there was a Raptor Lake refreshed Intel Core i7, there was a Raptor Lake Intel Core i7. While we're just about to start testing the 14th gen version of this processor, at this point in time, it's hard not to recommend the 13th gen model. It'll likely start to get cheaper now there's a new wave or Intel chips, and the performance it nets you is no short of ridiculous. The 13700K has 16 cores, only 2 more than the i5. These are made up of 8 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. In terms of threads running through these cores, you have 24, 4 more than the i5. So the real question remains, do you actually need this extra headroom for the money? For most people, we'd still recommend the 13th gen i5, but for content creators looking for that extra peace of mind, that extra headroom does make a difference when gaming at higher resolutions and settings. For a full rundown of how benchmarking scores differ between the two, take a look at the reviews. For now, we'll say that if you're willing to spend that extra $100 or so, you'll get an increase in performance, but just be prepared to work harder when keeping the CPU cool. Similarly, check out the price of the latest AMD Ryzen 7, because the rival version will almost always be found cheaper. Regardless, this is i9 power in a chip with i7 branding. If you need the extra headroom compared to an i5 or Ryzen 5, you can't go wrong with this.
Number 2 of my list.
AMD Ryzen 5. The AMD Ryzen 5600X may not blow anyone away with its sheer power, especially with AMD's 7000 series on the shelves now. But as far as AM4's last generation chipsets from the company go, it's very hard to beat in terms of price. What's more, the 5600X is frequently on sale, down from its already competitive $260 MSRP. The AMD Ryzen 5600X is a solid all-around performer with both its single-core and multi-core capabilities in-game, too. That's due in part to this CPU's higher-than-average clock speed, combined with its quiet yet cool operation over extended periods of time. If you're after a processor to keep your rig taking over at its best, then the 5600X continues to impress across the board.
And number 1.
Intel Core i5. The Raptor Lake Intel Core i5 processor is an absolute powerhouse that should really make us question what we deem a mid-range CPU to be these days. Packed with 6 performance cores, 6 efficiency cores, and 20 threads, on paper this is essentially a cheaper and more efficient 12th Gen i7. In gaming, benchmarking, and content creation, this CPU barely broke a sweat, and doing both at the same time barely used up to 15% of the CPU's capacity. That's so efficient that I thought there was something going wrong during testing, because an i5 definitely isn't expected to be this powerful. If there are any flaws to note here, it might be that there's no Turbo Max 3.0 here that's reserved for 13th Gen i7 and i9 processors. Like the others in the Raptor Lake bunch, this CPU can be a tad more power-hungry than you might like, and it can run hot under stress. Rest assured though, the i5 gives you the best all-round package in these regards, and won't be nearly as extreme as an i7 or i9. When you take price to performance into account, there really isn't any beating this CPU without moving to the AMD side. For the absolute majority of players, money shouldn't be wasted. An Intel Core i5-13600K is all you'll need for gaming this generation.
Check out this video description for latest price and more informations. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned.